Does a perfect paint correction exist? Can you achieve perfection on every single vehicle that you offer a paint correction to? There's a common controversy within our industry on what is considered perfect. There's a lot of ego behind this service. And in this episode of the Detail Spot podcast, I'm going to explain to you what my opinion of a perfect paint correction is. So find out coming up. So this subject was brought to my attention from one of the detail community members, Ryan. Inside the community forums, he asked, why do some detailers advertise that they can get this paint correction done in one day and they're charging so low? He says, a paint correction to me should take multiple days. He said, I can't perform a paint correction without it taking 2-3 days, maybe a week, but how are some detailers advertising it in one day? How can they get this done in one day? And I'm going to kind of shine some spotlight on how they may be doing it and, what a perfect paint correction really is, because a lot of detailers get wrapped up in that they can do a paint correction better than Joe down the street, or that they can do a paint correction so perfect that they can reach 100% every time. And that may not be true. So in this episode, I'm going to kind of go through what my version of a perfect paint correction is, ways around clients that may not be able to afford that perfect paint correction. So what is a perfect paint correction, and what is paint correction in general? Paint correction has many different words that clients may use to describe the service that they're wanting. So say a client is wanting paint correction, but they don't know what a paint correction is. Oftentimes they'll use words like waxing, buffing, polishing. All of these words have different meanings to us as detailers because we know the difference, but clients don't know, and it's all about the client. This episode, you're really going to find out what my version of a perfect paint correction is, and it's all has to do with the client themselves. So it's not about us, because we're not providing the service for us. We're providing it for that client. That client is the one that's paying us. What makes them happy is what ultimately is going to make a perfect paint correction. So when a client says, they reach out and they say, hey, I want waxing, I want polishing, I want buffing, they may even use the word paint correction, but you need to figure out what they want first. You need to kind of pick their brain on what their definition of those words mean, because oftentimes I've heard clients say, hey, I want my truck waxed, or I want my car waxed. And then you ask a little further on what their meaning behind it is. What are they expecting from that service? And oftentimes they want defects removed. And waxing just does not remove defects. Maybe it can remove the lightest defects, but most of the time it's either covering those up because it has fillers in them, or it is just used for protection, and I have to explain that to them, what wax is used for. It's used to protect the vehicle, not correct the vehicle. So I go through that and I explain to the client, and then I offer them a service such as paint correction, and tell them, hey, this is the service that we offer to correct or remove defects, or even just improve defects. So because not everything can come out 100%. Paint correction has a lot of variables. Vehicles have, some vehicles have soft clear coat, some vehicles have harder clear coat. Some vehicles are older, some are newer. Some vehicles have single stage paint, some don't. There's just a bunch of variables to paint correction. And you have to explain that to the client without overwhelming them, because they're not the detailer. They're paying you as the professional to be able to get the service done. They just want to know what it's going to take and how much it's going to cost. I want to take a moment from the episode and tell you about the detail community and some of the things that have been happening inside of the community, what some of the members are saying, some of their wins that they've shared within the community forums. So the detail community is a place for detailers to come learn, connect, and grow. It's a place for them to communicate with other like-minded, ambitious detailers. It has a library of resources from how to price your packages, how to rank online, how to dominate your area by taking over that Google spot. It shows you click by click. It shows you proven sales strategies so that you can instantly make more money. You can implement these strategies and instantly see an improvement within your business profits. It shows you how to be successful at owning a detailing business so that you can make more money and work less. So some of the members, a part of the community, have been saying, here's what Evan said inside the community. He said, trying to get through the content, but there's so many golden nuggets, dude. I'm taking some notes. He also said, dude, that direct mail training is super clutch. Didn't even think about that idea. Pure gold, man. And then Ryan is a member of the detail community, and he said he just quit his job to pursue detailing full time now. He's got a shop, and he's on his way to 6 figures detailing. So all of these members have been crushing it. They have these resources to help guide them and help show them what to do and what not to do. And you can become a member today. Join risk-free for 30 days for only $1. So you can join risk-free, get your first 30 days, only $1 to join. After that, it's only $27 a month for being a founding member. You can become a founding member today. You get access to everything that is there now and everything that is added in the future so that you can transform your business and start being a successful detailing business owner. Or maybe it's just you want to come connect with other detailers. You have that ability to do that as well. So join today risk-free for only $1. If you are watching on YouTube, the link will be in the description. And if you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, the link will be in the show notes. Or you can go to thedetailcommunity.com/join. Again, it's thedetailcommunity.com/join. I cannot wait to see you inside. You need to really pick the client's brain, though, in a way that's not going to lose them. You need to pick their brain and ask them, what are their expectations? Because, like I said, it's all about the client. So what is a perfect paint correction? A perfect paint correction is what makes the client happy. Getting 100%, out of vehicles, especially daily driven vehicles, getting 100% defect removal is impossible. You're just not going to be able to do it. You have rock chips involved. You have things that are more permanent. But how can you improve these enough to where that client is happy? So, and it's all about the education. It's all about you educating the client and you picking the client's brain so that they can educate you on what so that you know what they expect when they pick up that vehicle. So it all happens during the inquiry process. It happens during the paint correction process. You need to be communicating with that client so that you can make them happy at the end. When they pick up, you want their expectations to be exceeded. And it all happens during that communication. So when they're inquiring, you need to pick their brain. Ask them, hey, what are you expecting? Do you see things that I see? And what I mean by that is oftentimes detailers think that, we get our ego wrapped up in paint correction and we're spending so many days on it. And especially when you start, and I've done this personally, I've way undercharged for paint correction and polishing services and just spent so long chasing that extra 2% to get it what I thought was going to be perfect, when in all reality, the client probably didn't even notice that extra 8 hours that I spent on that vehicle. They would have been happy with, the 1 day paint correction, and I spent 2 on it, because that next day I was sitting there chasing things that I thought would come out, and I was just bugging out about getting that extra 2%. And oftentimes, the client won't see it. So you need to ask them, what are they seeing? Go around the vehicle, scan the vehicle with them. What are they pointing out to you? If they're pointing out things that are very minimal that you do see as the detailer and they see it as well, maybe their expectations are a little higher and, maybe you need to communicate to them that some things won't come out, lay out what to expect when they pick up and kind of, that gives you an idea of while you're performing that correction that you're going to have to maybe go a little bit further because they're noticing things that you see as a detailer. But 95% of clients do not see the things that you see. So oftentimes you'll see clients go around and they'll point out a couple little things here and there, but most of the time they're just wanting their car's gloss to pop. They just want that really clear appearance. And oftentimes you can achieve that really easy. You can get the gloss to pop pretty easy without going and spending 5 days on a paint correction. So once you figure out what they expect, the paint correction process is going to be so easy, and you're going to achieve perfection because that client is going to be happy. So, a perfect paint correction is not getting 100% of the rock chips and the swirl marks out and the light scratches out. It's about that client being thrilled. And paint correction is such an easy service to thrill a client because you're literally changing the way that vehicle looks. That vehicle is brought into your shop, or you arrive to their location with that vehicle being dirty. You arrive to it with it being the paint being at its lowest or at a very low stage of its life, and you're bringing that back. You're improving it so much that it's going to wow that client if you do it right. But it's all about figuring out what they see, what they expect, and how you deliver it. So, don't go into a paint correction with your ego. Go into it with what does that client see? How do I exceed their expectations, and how do I let them know up front what is going to come out so that they can be happy when they pick that vehicle up? So my advice would be communicate, ask questions, scan the vehicle over, and when you perform that paint correction, you'll already have all the knowledge you need to create or to provide a perfect paint correction. If you're spending 5 days for yourself, you're not doing it. You're in business to make money. Remember that. You always have to remember that you are in business to make money, and 2, you're in business to make clients happy. Making yourself happy making yourself happy with those results is important, but seeing that client's face should be more important, if that makes sense. Seeing that client pick up that vehicle and just be beyond thrilled is more important than, you chasing perfection. That perfection is just not achievable sometimes. And especially when you're dealing with vehicles that are daily driven. People take these through car washes, and even brand new vehicles now have defects through the transport process and through improper washing on the lot. So every vehicle has so many defects that perfection is just not achievable, and you may be wasting time chasing those unachievable results. That you're wasting money. Your time is money, and you're wasting that time. So achieve perfection based on what the client sees as perfection. And I know some people may twist my words and may twist what I'm saying and think that, this guy he's not delivering what he should be. He's under delivering to the client. If he's not shooting for 100% out of this paint correction, then, this guy's a scam. And it's just not like that. It's just the way I look at this service is, after doing it over and over and over, perfection is just not achievable. You just cannot achieve a perfect paint correction every single time. And that's what I'm getting at, is after, getting super frustrated with not being able to provide perfection, I've taken a step back, and I've had an open mind to saying, hey, as long as my client is happy, I'm happy. That's perfect to me. So to me, it's all about making that client happy, and not, tweaking my ego or fueling my ego. I don't care to have the best paint correction skills this side of the Mississippi. That's not my goal. My goal is to make as many clients as I can happy, so that they tell their friends and family, and get my name spreading. That's my goal. So my goal is not to make other detailers mad because I'm the best. That's not what I am about. That's not how I go about paint correction or detailing in general. And I think a lot of detailers go that way. I think whenever they're performing a paint correction, man, they're just thinking about what if Jim Bob's Auto Detailing down the street sees that car at the car show. I want him to see how good my paint correction work is. That's not making you money. What you're doing is you're probably overworking. You're probably working more than what that client is paying for, or more than what that client will see, and you're just wasting time and money, man. You gotta really perform that correction with the client in mind and not yourself or other detailers. You got to kind of get that out of your head. And so whenever you're looking at this and you're like, go into this episode and kind of take this with an open mind. Yes, you do want to make yourself happy to some extent when you're performing that correction. Everything that you put out the door should be quality and it should be great. But as you do paint corrections, and if you're a veteran at paint corrections and you've done multiple of them, you know that 100% removal of defects is just impossible. It is absolutely not achievable. And sometimes we get wrapped up in chasing those unachievable defects, things that just will not come out, but we spend 5 more hours on it, 8 more hours on it. And what happens is you're just dwindling away what you could be working on. You could be working on something within your business. You could be working on a whole nother vehicle that's paying you, so go into paint correction with the intent of making a client happy. They're the one paying for it. That's their vehicle. If their expectations are beyond exceeded, then boom, that's a perfect paint correction in my eyes. Now I'll talk a little bit about enhancement polishes. We talked about those 4 words: buffing, polishing, waxing, paint correction. Let's talk about enhancement polishing. What is it? And how can you offer it to your clients? Because not every client can afford a $800, $1,500, $2,000 sometime paint correction. And enhancement polish is a great way for you to counter it, as long as you lay out what they can expect from that service, because it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to improve it enough to maybe still exceed their expectations. So say a client is inquiring for buffing, waxing, polishing, whatever they're asking for, and you go through, you offer them a paint correction, and they say, that's a little bit out of my budget. Offer them something, offer them an alternative, such as an enhancement polish or a single stage polish, whatever you call it. Offer it to them. Just let them know that it's going to improve that vehicle by maybe 60%, whatever you can promise out of your enhancement polish. Offer it to them. Just let them know that it's not going to come out 100%, but overall you're going to see a huge improvement, and then that may be enough for them. But by offering that alternative, you still make money and you still gain a new client. So by offering that enhancement polish, you still get to work on something. Maybe it wasn't for that paint correction, but it's still a win, and it's something you can offer to them. But you have to make sure that you communicate up front. You pick their brain up front, communicate that car is not going to be perfect. Let them know what to expect, so when they do pick up, they will know that, hey, not everything's coming out. If they come into it to pick up and you didn't communicate to them, maybe their perception is everything is going to come out. Maybe they don't understand things, because remember, you understand things differently than they do. You're the detailer, you're the professional. Sometimes clients don't know that everything can't come out, that some things cannot be achievable. So you have to communicate those things up front. And with that enhancement polish, you do have to communicate it, up front, saying, hey, this is not a paint correction, but it's going to improve it. You're going to see a huge improvement in the overall gloss of the vehicle, or the clarity. So when they pick up, they will be happy. And when that client's happy, boom, you just performed a perfect enhancement polish. The word perfect being client was happy, so this is a way to approach paint correction, polishing. It's all about the communication with the client. It's all about picking that client's brain, seeing what they expect, and delivering to the client to what is going to make them happy, not what's going to make you happy or the detailer down the street mad at you because you're the greatest. That's just not what you're in business for. You're in business to make clients happy, to make money, and to make yourself happy, to gain freedom from your business. Those are all things that you're in business for. It's not to, shit on the detailer down the street because you're the best paint correction or the best guy at paint correction. That's not what you're in business for. And a lot of times detailers do that. They spend a whole nother day trying to get this vehicle as perfect as they can because they want a detailer down the street to see it at a car show. What they are doing is they're wasting money and they're wasting time on a vehicle that a client would have been happy with just one day paint correction. So paint correction has many different variables. Obviously, some vehicles will take multiple days, but it's all about how to communicate with that client and how to see what they see. Clients don't see, like I remember, you got the eagle eye for paint defects. You have that eagle eye for seeing what defects a vehicle has. The clients oftentimes do not, and you need to see what they see. You need to see that vehicle through their eyes, and it's going to make that correction service that much easier, that much better, and that much and it's going to make it's going to exceed their expectations that much more. When you can be able to look at a vehicle like they're looking at it, now you see what they're seeing, and you do that by communication with them. I hope you got something from this episode of the Detail Spot podcast. I hope it clears up some of the confusion on what you consider a perfect paint correction and how to approach this service. If you're watching on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you don't miss when we post another video or when we post another episode of the podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review, if you got something out of this, if this hit home for you, leave us a review. It's going to greatly help us grow and reach other detailers. So I'll catch you on the next episode of the Detail Spot podcast.